In between an oil company and a coal company lies Oahu's creative solution to its limited space and immense amount of waste.
Hi, I'm Diana, and today we are at H-Power, as you can see, and we're going to take a lovely tour of the site. So let's go!
So, H-Power has been in existence for about 25 years or so. The original plant that was built back then, about 1990, went online. That plant got to the point where it was kind of maxed out with its capacity. So when it gets maxed out, we have to divert trash to the landfill. So that's something we really don't like doing because the landfill, it's finite, you know, it's going to get filled up, and then pretty soon we're going to need a new landfill, and that's very difficult to do, finding a new site and all that kind of stuff. So our primary focus is to not put stuff in the landfill. So when we bring trash into H-Power first, we reduce the volume by about 90%. So if you think about it, you know, every 10 garbage trucks that come in here, one ash truck goes out to the landfill. So that's our primary focus. But it got to the point where, you know, the original H-Power just didn't have the capacity to take all the burnable trash that was produced here on the island, so we built an expansion. When you came in the parking lot over here, that building over there, that was the new expansion.
The control room holds the workstations for the claws. The two claws are used not only to move trash into the chamber, but also for mixing. The plant takes a large amount of energy to start up, so in order to keep the energy flow stable, the waste has to be mixed due to certain items producing more energy than others. The claws have a non-sway technology and alarms in case they get too close to each other or the walls itself.
You have an alarm when the bridges come close to each other.
Oh, okay.
Watch these bridges over here. They collision,
okay.
Yeah? They don't collide into each other.
And so that's got like all kinds of fancy like anti-sway stuff going on.
That's when you get too close.
Oh.
Alarm sound.
And they just leave the tires until, you know, there's like clean out basically. So, like I said outside, it takes 24 hours to get hot enough to start producing electricity.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of fuel to get it that hot to start off, but after that, we're just running on trash. All the buildings and everything on the property are run by our own power as well.
That's awesome.
So yeah, once it's up and running, we don't want to shut it down unless there's some kind of catastrophe or scheduled maintenance. Yeah, because basically after that, it's just running off of our own fuel basically.
Ah, that was a lose.
Regular daytime period to run those, so during the night shifts or whatever, they don't have to clear as much space for the dust now. They can just kind of mix it with the fire. That looks like a big chest. when it's not like the individual rubbish trucks that do the collecting, they load up those big transfer trailers that can fit, at least a few trucks worth.
Oh,
Just to pretty much save them time. So
yeah.
the trucks unload like this, and then basically there's another loader that feeds it into the top of that.
Okay.
So maybe that's why it looks a little more processed than the other stuff. But I'm not totally sure.
Usually those trucks coming in is our own trucks.
Oh, okay.
And it's unacceptable in that department.
Oh, okay.
So whatever's unacceptable, they take it out with another grapple by the picking station, drop it to the ground, and then load it back up. Because the process, you cannot go through the shredder, so we burn it over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, right on. I didn't know you guys shoot them over here.
Yeah, just to help people shut off.
Yeah.
H-Power has two separate facilities. Both have similar processes, except one facility shreds the trash and the other does not. Both sort through the trash, removing any non-combustible items, such as metal, sand, dirt, and glass. Once the trash is sorted through, it is put through a chamber where it is burned at a very high temperature. The steam that is formed from this process is used to power a turbine, which produces 45 megawatts of electricity.
Mine equals blown. Well, we just finished our tour at H-Power. It was very intriguing, interesting, mind-blowing, I guess you could say.
Informative?
Very informative.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, just imagine every time you go to a grocery store and you try to get a teddy bear, but in real life, you're getting trash all the time.
What?
It's like, the claw comes down, gets the trash, and it puts in the chute. That's your reward. So, that's what I
Very
learned today.
On that side are about 120 megawatts. So for our 70 megawatts, we're able to power about roughly up to 10% of the island's electricity needs, but we usually run about 7, depending on how much we're using and how much energy our trash can produce. It's a lot of wet stuff, a lot of different things, but again, our main goal is not as a power plant. It just is kind of almost like a byproduct.
All right, where are we going, guys?
The land part 2! Gonna go see more trash!
Sounds like a great plan.
It started as a gulch, which is a great place to start because you don't have to dig as deep, right? But we just made our final expansion a few years ago at the very, very top. So as far as I know, it's not going to get any bigger than this. There's certain areas that are specifically designed for H-Power ash, but there's also certain areas that are for municipal solid waste, MSW. So we'll be able to point out the different cells as we work our way back up. The important thing about the landfills are you're always basically fighting water. You're also basically fighting the gas. As the trash breaks down, you got to make sure that you're containing all the gas in there. So starting with water, basically they want to treat it like a giant bathtub. Any rainwater that falls on this site needs to be contained and treated as what they call leachate, which is you can't just let that run off into the ocean. So basically, there's liners on the bottom and there's pumps, and we'll point that out as we go up. All that liquid needs to be contained and sent directly to the wastewater treatment plant, who processes it first, and then they can release that. So there's not only pumps all around the landfill that collect the water, there is also monitoring wells on the outside of the landfill to make sure nothing is getting out. Okay, so kind of the same thing with the gas as well. So there's monitoring gas pumps around to make sure nothing's leaking out, but also anything that's being built up in the landfill is sent down to the flare, which I believe is like right over there. Okay, so rainwater, gas, you're always kind of fighting that when you have the landfill in here. So we're gonna pass some of the closed sections of the landfill already as we drive up first sections. That's what it's supposedly going to look like when this whole thing is closed and done. Of course, we never, you know, the more we keep out of here and send to H-Power and recycle and all that, the more years this is going to last. But we have to start planning ahead for that kind of stuff. So, you know, basically just going to have some vegetation on it, some trees, some shrubs, some long grasses and that kind of stuff. You know, nobody really came up with what we want to exactly do with this when it's done, but on the mainland, a lot of places are like, you know, golf courses and parks and just big public open areas. And especially this site, you guys will see when we drive up, it's gorgeous out here. So you can, I mean, the ocean is right there, and so a lot of people don't realize, you know, they use this for NOAA humpback whale counts and stuff.
H-Power's main goal is not to produce energy. Rather, their goal is to reduce the volume of waste that goes to the landfills each year. Using the plant's techniques, they are able to lessen the volume by 90%. Through these processes, energy is produced as a byproduct, increasing the appeal of a facility like H-Power. Without these decreases, though, Oahu wouldn't be looking at a landfill that will be active for another 30 years, but instead, an approaching question of what is next.